Welcome to the Fantasy Fangirls Podcast, where two sisters dive deep into beloved fantasy lore, characters, themes, theories, and more! I'm Lexi.
I'm Nicole.
And we are the Fantasy Fangirls.
This is surreal, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, the chills that just shot up my body, I cannot even tell you. Welcome to our very first ever live show here at LeakyCon.
Today, we are covering all things Onyx Storm theories from the iconic Empyrean series that we all love by Rebecca Yarros. Before we kick off sorry, I'm getting myself a little bit in position here. Before we kick off, I gotta get into position, apparently. Okay.
This is live, y'all.
All right, we do want to talk a few content warnings, like always, if you're familiar with our podcast. Most importantly, we are talking spoilers for all of Iron Flame and Fourth Wing. Anything from either of those books, interviews with Rebecca Yarros, apparently profile pic changes, it is all on the table.
So with that said, if you do not know the ending of Iron Flame, and if you do not know that we are most likely in for a world of hurt with Onyx Storm, then respectfully, this is not the live podcast for you if you don't want spoilers.
We won't take offense if you need to leave. We'll even cover our eyes.
Like 4, 3, 2, 1. Hopefully you're fast runners. Bye.
Right. Okay, and then also, if you are familiar with us, you know that Fantasy Fangirls, we are adults who say adult things about adult books. In other words, this podcast and probably today's live show is rated R.
I'm bringing up the throne scene. And no, it's not in the way you might think. I'll just go ahead and say that. But now, it is time to speculate and keep spiraling as we count down until January 21st, 2025.
So how today's live show is going to work is that we have separated our theory talk into 3 separate categories. The first one, we are going to be talking about Violet's second signet and what it might be. And then the second one, we are going to be talking about Andarna, the seventh den, what that might mean, Papa Sorrengail's research, of course. And then lastly, we're going to wrap it up with more general Onyx Storm predictions, what we're hoping to see, and of course, Xaden, Venom, all of that stuff. We will be asking you.
Yeah, we'll be asking you all to come up to the mic and share your theories. What Lexi and I are going to do is with each new topic, we're going to lay the groundwork a little bit. We're going to share some theories of our own. But as we're doing that, come and line up to this beautiful mic right here over on our left, your right, directions are hard, and share your theory with us. The only thing that we do ask is we only have an hour, and if you're familiar with our show, that's short for us. So please, please, please keep your theories nice and tight so that we can get through as many as possible. Shall we kick it off with Violet's second signet?
Let's kick it off with Violet's second signet here. So before we dive into theorizing, let's lay out what we know about signets manifesting. Number 1, signets are a unique that's when Hayden edits it out usually. So signets are a unique magical power that a human gets from their bonded dragon. As described in Chapter 19 of Fourth Wing and Chapter 56 of Iron Flame, signets reflect who you are at your core and what you need most. So let's list off what we know Violet is at her core, who she is at her core, and what she needs most. She is someone who needs information and full disclosure. Facts, answers, and truth keep her centered. She has the mind of a scribe and the heart of a writer, as we all know. She's the best of both worlds. Violet also protects those around her and always puts their needs and survival above her own. And lastly, she desperately wants peace and safety for the people she loves.
We also know from Rebecca Yarros that Violet's second signet in Iron Flame is, major air quotes, obvious. Rebecca,
Her words,
not ours, as you'll find out today. Rebecca has confirmed that Violet's second signet has manifested, meaning that she has used it in Iron Flame, and she believes that most of us will figure it out. Her editor, LOL, right? Her editor even said that maybe we should put in a line in Iron Flame about, hey, this might be my second signet. And Rebecca's like, no, they're smart.
And here we are. We're smart cookies.
Yeah,
we're smart. Yeah.
Lastly, we do know that dragon names can have a hint of what the signet might be. So Andarna Urim in Scottish Gaelic means the second honor. And also Andarna's rare as fuck. So we also know that she is going to be, probably that's going to reflect in her signet. It's probably going to be another indicator of how powerful Violet's second signet will be.
All right, so now that we have our bases all covered here, Nicole is going to share her top contender for Violet's second signet.
So mine was, emphasis on the past tense here, that Violet was the I see dead people second signet. That's no longer the case because in Australia, Rebecca recently said that Violet was completely cut off from her dragons, both of them, in the torture scene in Iron Flame. So I went back to the drawing board and I reread all of Iron Flame. And something stood out to me. In chapter 58, her and Xaden are sparring in Erasia and they're having the no more secrets conversation. She says, quote, I am a person who needs information to center myself. This is the only time needs is in italics in this entire book. Yes, I'm back on my italics bullshit. You're welcome. So I thought, needs information. What other signets manifest because someone needs information specifically? I was looking for that word. So I reread Iron Flame again. And in chapter 56, Violet is trying to figure out Xaden's second signet. And she thinks, quote, Xaden's most pressing need is information. And this is when it clicks, oh my God, he's an intrinsic. This is a very Rebecca Yarros move, right? We've spent hundreds of hours analyzing her writing. And to use those two words next to the word, use the word need and information in the exact same manner. When I think about, if I was Rebecca Yarros, that would sound pretty obvious. That checks off a box. Now, we know that her signet has manifested. Let's talk about the throne scene. Yeah. When shimmering onyx wraps around Violet's mind and everything intensifies, Xaden's thoughts come into her mind, and she hears his thoughts. But if you're like, but that's just their mind-to-mind speak, I thought that as well. In any of their mind-to-mind dialogue, there's always quotations around the italic dialogue between the two of them. Guess what the throne scene does not have? Quotations, friends. That was so aggressive. I'm sorry. So, as we know, Violet's last signet manifested when she was in the throes of passion with Xaden. It would not be out of the question if a similar manner happened to her second signet when she is in the capital throes of passion on the throne scene. All of this to say, yes, I do think that Violet is an intrinsic. But, big but here. I don't think she's going to be the same. I don't think she's going to be the same type of intrinsic as Xaden, because when we think of storytelling, that doesn't really feel like really great storytelling. But I will say in that same chapter 58, when Violet is sparring with Xaden, he's like, unless there's a full intrinsic around, no one can hear us. What if Violet's the full intrinsic? That's my second signet theory. You're welcome. Oh, but what that might mean, though, is maybe instead of just hearing intentions, she can hear thoughts. She can hear, she can speak into someone's mind. I think about without any spoilers, very the mind-to-mind speak in ACOTAR, a similar word of that day, Maddie.
So I love that specifically around the language and around the italics, around, I need information. When you first texted that to me, my jaw dropped. To add to this, while I was reading Iron Flame recently, I noticed something that could also play into a type of intrinsic without her knowing it and not even fully reading thoughts, because she doesn't seem to do that again in the entire book if that is the case when it first manifests.
So that's actually a really good point. So in the throne scene, that is mid-November, right? And the end of Iron Flame is December 21st.
Yes.
So that would be a long time without any other people's thoughts going into her head where she'd be like, oh my God, what was that?
Right, well, and then she does innately know whenever someone is lying around her after the throne scene. There are several instances, in particular, when they go back to when they're meeting up with like General Melgren and they're sharing about like Samara and all of that, she knows when several people are lying. Now there are also people who are close to her, so that could just be, her knowing those people. And then same thing with Xaden, he does, lie to her and then she calls him out on it. Again, that could be her just knowing him innately, but just had to throw that out there because I know that Truthsayer is a very popular second signet theory. But what we're thinking, or at least what I'm thinking, is that if it is a truthsayer, which would definitely check off the boxes of I need information, I need the truth, all of that, that she would be taking it to a whole new level, which would be more of that intrinsic possibility there. Like, I feel like, especially as we've been theorizing when we were doing it for Fourth Wing, if we were correct on something, not Jack Barlow, don't get me started on that, and then it would be like correct, we'd have like 20% of it right, and then the other 80% would be, like the mind-blowing emoji, kind of thing there. So anyway, I do keep going back to how she has the mind of a scribe and the heart of a writer, and I'm not sure exactly how it would play into, the this intrinsic second signet theory, especially if it manifested during the throne scene, but I love to think that her second signet does relate back to her mind of a scribe, a homage to her dad in some way. Or maybe she just uses this signet to that benefit. Total, just 180 here. I'm not gonna get too far into this, but throwing out another one of my favorite ones, I don't think how it would have manifested though, is her second signet being along the lines of harnessing the power of the sun. If you listen to our Violet second signet episode back in February, March, whenever that was. That was my absolute favorite one, and I think that it could have manifested in a way that seems like it's Terran's, but it's actually not. However, when we talk about, what should be obvious, that makes me wonder how obvious that would be. So anyway.
I'll throw in this. If it is like along the sun, what's in the center of the book for both Fourth Wing and Iron Flame? And that's exactly where Andarna is right over. It's a mini little sun. Which Andarna is a mini little dragon. At least in book one.
In book one,
In book one.
And then, of course, what like Eye in the Sky, I Am Infinite, the three brothers, and how
you can harness the power of the sky.
Yes, exactly.
That's where,
So there's a lot of nods to that there.
Yep,
so.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to ask the audience real quick. We're going to go through some of the most popular ones we've heard, and I just want to show of hands. So who here, by raising your hand, thinks that she is a truthsayer? Don't be shy. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, we got a few.
Awesome.
How about a distance wielder?
All right, I see a few here too. Who is on board with Nicole on the intrinsic?
Who did I convert today?
All right. See, also, again, Nicole was like gung-ho on Xaden being an intrinsic in book one, and I had a whole thing about why I did agree and why I didn't agree, and at this point, it's like, all right, Nicole, if you say they're an intrinsic, fine. I guess they're an intrinsic, right? All right, well, if anybody wants to share their second signet theories, or we're more than happy to move on up into the next one, or we can keep talking.
Get it, girl. Yes!
Yay!
Okay, so one that I've seen it talked about a little bit is about her being a synthesizer of powers. I think I saw it somewhere, a small video somewhere, and I really like the idea because, like you said, she needs to be something for everybody, and she needs to be a scribe, she needs to be a writer. She also needs to heal her family and heal Xaden, and feels like this protector role. So, and because Andarna is the conglomeration of all the houses of the dragons, so maybe she has a way to synthesize the powers that she needs at the given times. I really like that idea because it makes her even more unique and allows her to be what she needs to be for who she needs to be it for.
I love that one so much. Yeah, especially like when you think about it's kind of like the chameleon theory.
Yeah,
right.
Or I'll even throw out, like, for instance, when they're in Corden and they need wards around them to, not be venenified by the venin who's on the ground with them. Mira creates wards.
Well, that's different because that would be an amplifier.
No. Hold your horses there, horsey holder.
Sorry, I know where you're going with this. I apologize.
What if instead of Mira creating the wards there, I always call it Uno reverse, but it's of a very similar line of thinking. Like, what if instead Violet was the one who created the wards and we just thought it was Mira? The only thing where I'm like, oh man, I don't know if that would work is Mira's immediately like, like she's done.
She almost burns out from
She's
that.
done for the day.
Yeah.
But then also we have like when Andarna, when Violet pulls from Andarna for the first time in Rune's class, and then there's like a boom, you know? So that could be...
Sawyer pulls a Seamus Finnegan, yeah.
Truly. So I love that idea, and I think it would really align with what we know about Violet. She needs information. She could be an Intrinsic or a Truthsayer at the drop of a hat. Like maybe in, like, not to go back to the throne scene, but maybe in the throne scene, she used that Una reverse synthesizer for a moment, and she took on Xaden's signet for a moment.
I think that would be a really cool
was
signet.
so
That would be
cool.
so cool.
And
It
especially
almost
when
like
you
the
say Andarna.
opposite of Bodhi's too, which is like countering signet, where she like, exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Go for it.
All right.
I am definitely on board with Team and Signet, but here's the thing. Not like Xaden's, she could read thoughts, but potentially be able to affect behaviors, right?
Yes.
Like would have the ability to read those thoughts and then be able to make the people, do things, which would be a terrible power to wield and would then make Violet a monster.
Yeah.
So, we saw some things happen with Xaden at the end of the last book, and we're thinking like, oh, crap, that's terrible. Well, what if Violet's ready for a little terrible?
Yes. I like where she really brings out her own morally gray, right? Or morally black. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
It's a really dark gray.
Right?
That is a dark gray.
When Nicole was saying about like, that full intense, like that's exactly what it is, where it's like that ability to manipulate their mind. Again, I don't know if you've read Andarna, again, not getting into spoilers, but like that, like very much like the powers that are in that too. So I love that idea.
And building off of that, so we do know in Onyx Storm, there's a scene towards the front of the book where Violet is really coming into terms with being the most powerful rider in her generation. And apparently, wherever they are, I'm going to assume Vesgaia since it's earlier in the book, there is a debacle around them. And for whatever reason, Xaden's not able to fizz it out, and Violet is. So what if that's a moment where she, like, infiltrates someone's mind and calms it, almost like the opposite of Cat's signet, or not signet, but gift even, like where it's like you diminish emotions or you can control
But
the
that would
feeling
be
up or
even
down.
more so because that could be literally making them those emotions in the first place. And then that would be her having and spending the book grappling with that monstrous power that she has, which is on a whole different level than her lightning power, which she already did have a lot of internal struggles with, because that's more of a killing power. And this would not be, exactly.
I love this.
And how do you know, if you wield that power, how do you know where your influence started, right?
Yes.
Did you influence the emotion? Did you influence the action? And how would someone like Violet, knowing what we know about her, manage that? I feel like she would be a character that would really struggle.
And it would
And
have to be a
that would
secret, too.
Beautiful to experience with her.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and we also know that she has one goal in Onyx Storm, and we as a community can all probably agree that we think it's like, cure Xaden at all costs, please. But what if instead it's, don't turn into a monster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I thought
we're
he
pulling
was
these
the
things
one.
from her interviews too that she shared. We don't have any
I'm not like
inside knowledge.
No, Rebecca, what do you know about her? Like, no.
Love that. Thank you so much.
That was great.
Hi.
Hi.
My friends also run a fantasy podcast, so one of the things that we've been talking about, like sort of fleshing out, is that maybe kind of going along with the synthesizer, is that maybe she's an amplifier, where when she needs something from somebody else, they're suddenly able to perform their signet better than they have been in the past. For example, like Rhiannon being able to shoot the book through the wall. She's never been able to do that before, with the wards being built and things like that. And then another one that we've been kind of talking about is compulsion. Not super sure on that one. I'm more set on the amplifier, but it's just interesting to think about the compulsion too.
Wait, really quickly, because I heard some claps. Who's team amplifier? Double hands up right
All
there.
right.
Yes,
Yes, we see lots of amplifiers
I
here.
love the amplifier signet. Because at the beginning we discussed like what does Violet need and who she is at her core, because those are the two things that help a person manifest a signet. I don't know if this, well, I guess it would be in alignment with what she needs, but who she is at her core, I care for everybody else but myself. That is Violet. And that would just like, if that is the golden ticket, I'll call it, immediately I would go amplifier.
Yeah. And that also is kind of similar to what we were talking about first, too, with like the chameleon one as well. But it's kind of like that different shift where it's her amplifying others' signets. And I actually kind of like that word instead of her taking, like they're saying it from them, not like literally, but like doing it, replicating it for herself, is her giving to them so that their powers can be more powerful too. That feels very on brand for her. So, yeah, love that.
Shall we move into Andarna? I know
We
it's your
got
favorite part.
one
Oh, I'm so
more here. Yes.
You're good. I have a theory that maybe she can duplicate signets. Like she can copy other people's signets.
Yes.
Ooh, okay, so kind of like the Uno reverse, but like at the same time.
I don't really have any proof for this. I just like the theory.
That's okay. That's what we do. Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really like that because then it's not like you were saying. It's not her taking the signet from someone. It's her saying like, I'm like you said, I'm copy paste basically at the same time. So and that feels much more in alignment with who Violet is at her core. She is not someone who's like, give me that. She's someone who's like, let me stand with you at your side.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's
yes.
especially like you were saying that antithesis to Bodhi's.
Yes. Yes. All right. Man, I think that was the shortest time we've ever talked about second signet.
Honestly, I'm really impressed.
But we
with
got
us.
stuff to do here. All right, let's keep moving. So let's talk about dragons, specifically Andarna's key role in the future of the series. And of course, I'm bringing in Papa Sorrengail because
Lexi's just salivating into the
I just,
microphone.
like, I
Actually,
love it
that's
so
what's
much.
happening right now.
Okay, so I'm going to lay out all the puzzle pieces to this because it is no coincidence that, and if you've seen our recent Instagram posts, this will sound a little bit familiar. Okay, number 1, a weapon destroyed the Venin 600 years ago. Number 2, Andarna as an egg is left behind, very specific wording there on the left behind, by the rest of her den to be the remaining 7th dragon in the Vale to breathe fire on the wardstone if necessary. Number 3, Andarna waits 650 years to hatch for the girl who would have the mind of a scribe and the heart of a writer. Number 4, she knew Violet would be her bonded writer about a year and a half before Violet knew she was switching to the writer's quadrant. I did the math there from when she turned 18 to when the story starts, when she's 20. I did the math, I promise. Okay, number 5, Papa Sorrengail dies from heart problems. Well, we know it was heart problems, but we personally are under the impression, we theorize that leadership did kill him for what he knew, but we do not know that, so we're sticking to the facts here. Okay, he dies at most 6 months before Andarna hatched. So there are several months after Andarna hatched and Papa Sorrengail is alive. Number 6, he was studying feathertails, and Violet seems to be the only one who knows where his research is. We might have wondered if her mom knew where it was too, but she is no longer with us. So she probably is the only one who knows where it is. Number 7, Andarna is silent about knowing anything about her dad's research on feathertails. Remember that line when Varish was like, it seems like a coincidence. And she's like, wait, is it? And Taryn's like, I don't know anything about your father's research. And Andarna is silent. She's like, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Yeah, right. That line keeps me up at night. Anyway, okay. So, which means she totally does know about his research, right? Like, I see a bunch of nodding heads. Yes, okay, cool. Number 8, Papa Sorrengail was familiar with Warwick and Lyra's journals and uncovered his research that Warwick never wanted anyone else to hold the power of the wards. Number 9, he wrote Violet a cryptic note in the Fable of the Barons saying that it only takes one generation to rewrite history. So we can assume that he knew all of the stuff that was going on there. Number 10, Venin are back and gaining power. What? I know, right? Number 11, Varish had an obsession with Andarna, the Feathertail, and he was close with Daddy Atos, who is also curious about her dad's research on Feathertails, and we know that Daddy Atos is connected to the assassins, because remember the line that he had them all say? And
Secrets die with the people who keep them.
exactly that. And we also know that at least one of those assassins was Venin. We can assume from the red-rimmed eyes. Like, I'm never making that same mistake again. I promise. He's got to be a Venin. So that could mean that Daddy Atos is connected to the Venin at Basgiath there. Okay, and lastly, number 12, Andarna of the 7th Dragon Den is she roasts a Venin with her fire because it left a smoking head, and yes, she does decapitate it too, so I did not specify on killing it, but she does roast it while dragon fire is known to leave Venin unscathed. Remember, like that's like a fact that dragon fire does not affect venom, but oh my goodness, Andarna's fire did affect the venom. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, you had the idea when we were rewriting this entire outline last night that Andarna might have come from the Barrens,
Yes.
which is the same place where the venom originated from. So and by Andarna, I mean her dragon den originally. So what if her dragon den originally came from the Barrens, and that's why she can be like, meh, and they burst into flame.
I really do think that, and then I also wonder about like the weapon. So, okay, so with all of those 12 things in mind, here's my super high level theory, and I'm so excited too because Rebecca has promised that we are going to be getting more Andarna in Onyx Storm and about like the big mystery around her. Okay, so I think that Violet is central to a prophecy, and Andarna recognized that she would be the one to fulfill it, and therefore that's why she decided that it was finally time to hatch, because she knows that she'll be needed as this girl who has the mind of a scribe and the heart of a writer's bonded dragon to fulfill this prophecy together. But I'm also going to add that Papa Sorrengail's research plays a key part in all of this, because I really do believe that he and Andarna are connected. And how to defeat the venom is also connected to his research, because Andarna is associated with the weapon, or her den is maybe the weapon itself. Her den is associated with the weapon that can defeat the venom. But she knows, Andarna knows, that Violet is also part of this weapon as well, because with her lightning magic, for instance, as just scraping the surface there, and that's why I'm sprinkling in some of that prophecy possibilities in here. And I also, like you were just saying, we don't think that the seventh den died off. It was very specific that she was left behind. And I don't know exactly where they are, but like we kind of joke about, the catch-all being the Isle Kingdoms, and...
Oh, they're in the Isle Kingdoms. I am convinced that the dragons are in the Isle
Is that a hill you're willing to die on?
I think that might be a hill I'm willing to die on.
Oh, we're going to have to place another bet, because I don't know
All right.
if they're in the Isle Kingdoms.
Are we doing this live right now? Are we placing a bet live in our first ever live show? Are you serious?
Maybe, yes. Our first Onyx Storm
Okay,
bet.
hold on. So this is our very first Onyx Storm bet. So this is that not only we are going to the Isle Kingdoms.
Well, hold on. I do think we're going to the Isle Kingdom.
No, that's why I said not only.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But we're not only going to the Isle Kingdoms, but we're also going to meet the rest of the Dragon Den at the Isle Kingdoms. Now here's the
You think that's happening in Onyx Storm?
No, I think that would happen in like book 4.
Okay, I agree.
Or maybe that's the cliffhanger to Onyx Storm. I think that we're gonna have multiple. I think that might be one of the cliffhangers to Onyx Storm. Listen, I'm covering my bases here, okay?
I think that the cliffhanger is going to be a little bit more Xaden and Violet focused, because that's a happy ending, and Rebecca has been very clear that, when we're talking about like the W of storytelling, she said, yeah, there you go.
That was a W again, you know?
We were practicing, she did an M, so
I did an M.
So,
Dyslexic, okay.
Anyway, so we are right now at like a top point. So like everything's good. The venom were defeated technically, and the wards are back up.
No, she said the end of Onyx Storm is the top of the W, and then cascades down.
Wait, so I thought the next book was going to be more like bad things happening.
So here's where she was saying, like, the first book is the top of the W, right? We're at the start of the W. Yay! Iron Flame kind of goes down like this, and then we went down because Xaden's a venom, and then the next book we're going up, but the end of the book is going to be the start of the down.
Oh, okay.
Which is terrifying. So in that case, I agree with you. I think it's definitely going to be something that's going to like rip our hearts out for sure. I think Mira's dying.
Oh, you're just going there right now, aren't you? Okay.
Well, okay, here's the reason why I'm thinking Mira's dying. So I think that in each of the books, it's going to be a new one of Violet's protectors dying, basically. Book 1 was Liam, never forget you, my guy. Book 2 was Lilith. She was definitely more of I'm not even going to say a passive protector, but in the background protector, because she was not actively doing it. She was the puppeteer behind Xaden being her protector. So book 2 was Lilith. Book 3, I think it's going to be Mira. Book 4, I think is going to be Tarn.
You're going to get us canceled, Nicole.
I'm not done, because I think book 5 might be Xaden.
Oh, don't say that out loud. Okay, hold on.
I don't think he's going to stay dead, though.
So we're jumping ahead to our third category.
Oh, that's right. I'm jumping ahead.
But
Anyone have any Andarna dragons?
Well, hold on. While we're talking, while we're ripping the Band-Aid
I'm
off
so
here.
sorry.
No. So who here does think don't even know how I want to say this. Who here does think that one of the dragons is going to die at some point in one of the books? Okay, so at least we're not the only ones.
Thank God.
We don't want it to happen, promise. Okay, so we're going to stop talking here and just digging ourselves in a deeper hole. And if anybody has any questions or theories or comments around Andarna and the Seventh Den, Papa Sorrengail's research, if you have a theory about where his research is, would love to hear it.
With us. We are dying
anything
here.
along those lines.
While anyone's thinking about it and coming up to the mic, I will go ahead and share, where do you think that Papa Sorrengail's research is?
It has to be at Bisgayeth because it was where he spent most of his after hours. I don't actually think that it was in the archives because I think that would have, it's too exposed, and I would have thought that it's in like one of those secret compartments, but Violet was so surprised when she saw that secret compartment. So since she knows where it is. So I have to wonder if it is, it could be as simple as in his office at their home or something along those lines.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, originally I was thinking that it was in her room because when he died, he maybe left it to her knowing that she was going to be a scribe, all that kind of stuff. Because we do know that he was under the full impression that she was going into the scribe quadrant, and then Lilith was like, psych! So instead, I do think that he gave her that research and it's in her room somewhere. Because when she is at Bisgayeth in the first part of Iron Flame, she's talking to Xaden when he comes in from Samara, and she's like, oh my God, you're early. And he's like, why do you have all these books? And those are from her room. And she was like, my room was completely untouched. So I'm assuming that maybe it's in the floorboards in her room, maybe she hid it.
But it was right where her father left it. It was
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we have one.
Yes.
I'd love
Okay,
to hear.
what's up?
I think Professor Markham has it. I think he murked her father because her father knew too much, was doing too much research and uncovered secrets that nobody was supposed to know. I think Professor Markham killed her father.
Yes.
And I think that's why he was so set on getting Violet in the Scribe Quadrant, because he was afraid that because she was so close to her father that maybe he passed on information to her, and he was nervous that she knew things that she wasn't supposed to know. And so when Dane in the first book is trying so hard to get her into the Scribe Quadrant, he's like, Professor Markham will take you. I've talked to him. He'll hide you away until it's too late for your mom to do anything about it. I think Professor Markham was so set on, I will allow you to come into the Scribe Quadrant illegally because I need to keep you under wraps to make sure that I have eyes on you all the time. And if you know something and something comes out, then I can take care of the problem.
Okay, so then in Onyx Storm, there might be a heist into Professor Markham's.
I absolutely agree that I do think that it was Professor Markham who killed her dad, especially because we know how violent he can be after that one, I believe it was second or third year he was killed. And yes, but I love the idea that he did take her dad's research. Now we also know that there is a tome missing on Feathertails, and we could assume that her father had taken those, but what if Professor Markham is one too? I like that. I love that idea.
And he's continuing on the research, but probably with malicious intentions.
I don't even know about continuing the research, but kind of keeping it under lock and key there.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a good one. I like it. Let's do one more.
I kind of think it's on the Isles. He managed to somehow get it away because he knew that people were looking for it, and he knew that someone was trying to get him or wanted it so bad. And so he got it there and thought maybe somehow Violet would figure out some hidden information he's got in the scribe quadrant for her. So she would go there as a scribe to visit or do, I don't know, scribe stuff.
I love it when the Isle Kingdoms are the catch-all. This makes me so happy.
Well, it just feels like there's such an important part. They have to go there, and there has to be something very, very important there. So yeah, but I also wanted to just say one more thing. If Taryn dies, then Sorrengail dies, then Xaden
Does
dies.
Xaden die, though, because Homeboy is not only attached to Sorrengail anymore?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm really anxious.
Me too.
So I'm gonna
Love your shirt.
thank you
You're OG fan. I love it.
Sorry.
very much. I also have something for you guys if I can see you later.
Yes. Are you going to be at our meet and greet?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'll figure that out. For Papa Sorrengail's research, I was going to say, I would think that there's going to be some sort of place in Bisgayeth, like you guys were saying, and kind of piggybacking off of the last person who was speaking, I think potentially he was going to the Isle Kingdoms himself, and maybe that's where the other parts of the Seventh Den are. And so he could maybe have helped Andarna kind of hatch, because you said that happened 6 months before he passed away.
Yeah.
So maybe in his research that she will be able to get back to the Isle Kingdoms where the other den is and be able to talk to them more. Another thought is possibly if one of the other dragon riders can kind of mimic people's looks, is there any thought
Yes,
that
like
maybe someone pretended to be her dad and maybe her dad's actually in the Isle Kingdoms because someone else like sacrificed themselves? I know that like she said that he's dead, but like part of him is dead. A version of him died if maybe someone else pretended to.
That would be such a Rebecca Yarros movie.
Oh my God. Just a thought.
So I love that thinking regarding the Isle Kingdoms, because we do know that Navarre is cut off from the Isle Kingdoms. Like they don't have I think for either the last 400 or even up to 600 years, they have not had any no trade or any connection, no travel with them. However, if Andarna was like that key to the key to that connection of that bridge with the Isle Kingdoms and Papa Sorrengail, I could definitely see that too. So that being the key there. Love it.
Hi, I love you guys.
Hi.
So what if Papa Sorrengail was doing more of like an anthropological interview type research on the hatchlings and going to the hatchling grounds, and all of his writings are literally there with the dragons?
Yes. So I really, really love the idea that Papa Sorrengail, literally it just said it, was like assisted Andarna in helping her hatch and then was connected to her in some way, because there is no way those two aren't like buds. So hopefully, but I love the idea that the research is in the hatching grounds. Also, we know Violet. She is someone who needs information. Might I remind you of the italics? And when I think about Violet, who knows where this really crucial information is about her dragon, and she hasn't gone to look for it yet, if it is in the Vale, in the hatching grounds, she can't go there. So that makes sense as to why she wouldn't be like, off to the research I go. Like, it makes sense why she would have that barrier. I love the idea that they're in the Vale or in the hatching grounds.
I love it too, and I will point out that because in Fourth Wing there was a lot of emphasis about how no human has ever been to the Vale or anything like that, and so if she did know that it was in the Vale, then that her narration would not be accurate in how she would be portraying it then to us readers. But I could see that being Rebecca Yarros, because she also said, there are no venom within the wards and all of that kind of stuff to really like get us to believe it. Jack fucking Barlow, yeah. So like I could see that being like, oh well, people, or especially one particular person has been to Vale, and it's just like supposed to be off our radars because it's supposed to be like a shut down, closed door sort of thing there. So that. Yeah,
All right,
love
we'll
it.
do one more, and then we'll move on to general Onyx Storm predictions.
Yes.
So I actually love the General Markham theory, and I wanted to add maybe the research is warded or sealed and only Violet can open it, and that's why they've been trying to get her back into the scribe quadrant. So.
I like
What is your name? You're brilliant.
Rachel.
Rachel, you're brilliant. I have nothing to
love
add.
that. I am speechless. Yes, I love that idea. Also, just the fact that of it being warded in general, I could see Lilith having warded it on his behalf, and only Violet can. Because remember when she was telling, or when was it Daddy Atos was saying, "Oh, your father's research, you don't happen to know where that is," and Violet and her mom kind of like have a look, like her mom's kind of like almost like check like. Seeing if she's going to say anything. So I have wondered if her mom also knows where it is, but so I could see that, and then Violet being the only one who can access it, and then, Markham knowing, and that's why he's wanting her to get in there. I love it. I love it. Yes. Oh, this is so much fun.
All right.
All right.
Let's move into generic Onyx Storm predictions. While we lay the groundwork, you know the drill. Come up to the microphone, share us what you think is going to happen in Onyx Storm. Where Iron Flame leaves off, though, so first and foremost, Xaden has turned Venin, in case you didn't know, spoiler, and he is at the lowest level of Venin, so he's at the initiate level of Venin, but we do know that when you're at that level of Venin, you want to continue drawing from the source. It's like a addiction, for lack of a better term. We also know that the Eurasian cadets are now allowed back at Besgaeth. We know that this is also going to take place over 6 months.
Yep. All the books moving forward are each going to take place over 6 months.
So we can assume that with them being now back at Besgaeth, it's going to be her continuing out her last part of her second year, which is concerning considering that's War Games, that's the finalization of RSC.
I didn't even think.
If they drink any more of that water, I'm gonna lose my mind. I swear to God. So we know that they're going to be back at Besgaeth. Now, whether that means they finish out their careers or their schooling, I should say, of their second year, we also know that going forward, we are going to be going to more places. I'm assuming the Isle Kingdoms. Have we mentioned the Isle Kingdoms today, everybody? So I'm assuming they're going to go to more of the Isle Kingdoms, maybe even the Barrens eventually. I could see that like a book 4 thing, though. We know that Sorrengail is pissed at Xaden, and she is currently not talking to him. When asked if it was possible to turn back from becoming a Venin, Rebecca responded with, quote, I mean, no one else has ever. No one else, that's my, Hayden, please edit this out of the episode. No one ever has, no one's seen it, but we haven't read book 3 yet. We also know that we are going to more places. Like I said, we know that we're going to be learning about the General Venin. We call him Sage, not a Sage, because they call him a Sage throughout the entire book, and at the very end, he's like, I'm a general, and we're like, what? So we know that we're going to learn more about him.
Wait, real quick, I'm so sorry, I don't mean to pause you. Who thinks that the Sage, not a Sage general is General Daramore from the Great War? Okay, see
Got a few.
Who thinks that it's Naolan?
Got
All right,
very
I see a few of those
enthusiastic
there,
hand
too. All right,
Yes.
awesome. Just curious. Keep going.
We know that we're going to be learning more about the royals, specifically Halden, who is the oldest brother of Auric, aka Cam. We also know that, like I said earlier, we have that one goal and the W style of writing.
Yep. So we're each going to talk a little briefly about like what we hope to see in Onyx Storm. So I want to know lots of things, but I really want to know how Daddy Atos ties into the Venin at Besgaeth. Are these, violent parapet pushers like recruited to turn Venin? Like, how we know that Jack, he pushed somebody off. He tried to get Violet as well, and then he ended up turning Venin. The other guy who, in her second year, he pushed someone off, and then that ended up being the Venin assassin who she ended up killing there. So is this just, are they recruited to turn Venin? Is it something that happens naturally because they're just evil and then leadership picks up on it and then uses them to their advantage? Like, why was Jack brought back? That's what it comes down to.
She'll never sleep at night until she gets this answer, I'll be honest. You know what I'm excited to learn? I'm excited to learn when Jack turned Venin. Because we know that it was before he and Violet sparred on the mat, right?
But it was after threshing.
It was after threshing?
Yes.
Oh, yes, because he bonded with Bade.
And he was mad at her for bonding with Taryn, and he's like, you shouldn't have all the power. And so in his whole monologue, she knows that it was after threshing, yeah.
Facts. Yeah. So we know that with that, he bonded in somewhere in those, I'd say, what is that, 4 months? About 4 months, because it was after the middle of the year. So I want to know why he turned in the first place. I mean, I
think it's just because he's evil. But that goes back to my whole question about, why does it all tie in with Besgaeth? Why did they bring him out of anybody back? Anyway, so... So obviously we got to talk about Xaden. I'm curious how he's going to handle the addiction of being Venin. Will he take the same serum as Jack to, offset that power hunger at the cost of nullifying his other 2 signets? I don't see him doing that, sacrificing his powers for that, but I could also see him doing that for Violet. He would do anything for her. Will he draw from the source again?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. Does anybody, just show of hands, who thinks that he's going to draw from the source again? All right, a lot of people.
Hello.
Who thinks that he will be cured in book 3? Not that you hope, but that you actually think he will be.
Got a few.
All right, we got a few
Okay,
hopefuls here. All right, awesome. I really hope so.
I don't think so, unfortunately.
And then I also just oh my gosh, I'm not even really getting into him and Violet and their love story because I'm just so in lore mode. I'm sorry. And but I want to know why he was targeted by the general. Like Rebecca does say that we will learn why. What do these dreams mean? Why was he waiting for Xaden? Why does he want him? Yes.
I heard a really good theory on TikTok recently, and I'm so sorry I do not have the source of where it was from, but the reason that, and this is if the general sage, not a sage, is Naolan. If it is Naolan, he's technically still bonded to Terran through his mind-to-mind connection with him, which means he's also bonded to Xaden and Violet. So what if he's the one sending the dreams in? I wish I could take credit for it. I can't. But I love that idea, especially if it is not General Daramore. I do think number 2 would be Naolan. I love the idea of him still being connected to Terran, but that is like a huge piece of information that Terran is leaving off the table for Violet, and that
is true.
Sucks.
Yes. Well, and then that would just also explore like how that bond breaking does work, and then Rebecca has teased that it is possible. She did not say those exact words, but she kind of said it at the same time. Yeah. So I do wonder if like that is going to be having been the first time that something like that did happen, but the bond goes so deep that it's impossible to truly break completely off of it.
Yeah. I want to hear what yours is. Go for it.
So this is not my theory. I saw it on TikTok a while ago, but it made me believe more of the amplifier theory, that Jack was brought back so she can work with, and the name is driving me nuts, I can't remember the first mender, the older mender.
Nolan?
Yes.
To try and save him and mend him, to amplify his powers to mend him, and then he ends up dying. And that causes Xaden to kind of go AWOL or kind of go monster, and then she works with Brennan and fully gets a hold of her amplifier powers, and they are able to mend Xaden.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
So Brennan would eventually be the person who mends Xaden. I like that. I like that a lot. Because I would be curious what would finally cure a Venom. Or can anything? I'm assuming yes, because she has kind of like hinted that yes, it would happen. But I'm not going to lie, I'm a terrible person if I say, good riddance, Nolan, goodbye!
Thank you.
I literally just thought of this, so I haven't thought my way through it at all. What if, in Papa Sorrengail's research, he thought he found a way to end the venom, went to do it, he is the sage. And so they're going to fight them, and she's going to find out, oh shit, this is my dad, I can't kill him, and then what?
I love that so much. And I do think that Rebecca has said that he is not, has she confirmed that?
She did, and because that was a huge theory for so long, and I was like, oh my god, that would be spicy. That's so good. Not obviously that kind of spicy, that's weird. But she did say in a Entertainment Weekly video that he is for sure dead. Now, what that means, because apparently of all of us, she could literally be like, he has been murdered, he is dead, he is in the grave 6 feet below, and we're like, but is he Malik? Does that mean he's the god of death? So,
but does that mean he's just not human anymore?
So she did say that if Violet was up against him, something like, wouldn't she recognize her dad? She didn't say it as a statement, she said it as a question, which is a very Rebecca Yarros thing. Yeah. So honestly, anything's on the freaking table.
Yes, I love it.
Okay, first off, your cosplay is amazing.
Thank you. What was I gonna say?
Okay, happens to me all the time.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so if Violet's signet has to deal with pulling things into herself, and her sort of directive in life is to protect others, what if she kind of sucks the venom, kind of parasite type thing, that badness into herself, taking it away from Xaden, which she would do, and Xaden would be very, very upset at that, and it would be a constant battle throughout the entirety of the book.
Good thing we've never done that before.
Yeah, exactly.
Where she essentially sacrifices her soul in that way, and then would be able to like absorb that. And that's where where it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like the question of, is that possible, comes in, and the truth is we have no idea. And I love that idea so much, especially like if, as we're talking about her second signet and being able to like take in others, or not the chameleon, not, but it would be a little bit more the universe, but not like
like a sponge?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be with signets. Never mind, I don't know where I'm going.
Sponge daddy signet, that's what I would call her.
Kind of, anything like that. Because if she can pull truth, she can pull thoughts.
Yep.
Yes.
She can pull sicknesses, things like that, that type of thing. Also, Andarna, back to the research.
Yeah.
I'm assuming if Andarna knew her father closely, that she also knows where it is.
That's a good point.
We hadn't thought about that.
If she comes from the Seven Isles, and he went to the Seven Isles, or was on the way, or he was talking to Andarna, or anything like that, she was helping him with his research, anything like that. I'm assuming that if that's the case, that she would also know where it is. And keeping secrets, again, from Violet, and not telling her any of this, she's going to be cut off from Xaden, who's going spiraling, from Andarna, who's lying to her, from Taryn, who probably also knows. Heartbreaking.
They've got some family issues, yes.
Love that.
I really think that Violet's the key.
Yes.
Because her mom was really sick when she was pregnant with her.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even get
So they
into that. Yes.
healed her, and that's why her hair is different, is because she's the key, and that's why Venom hunt her. To get them on, her on their side instead of helping the cause.
Well, so one of the really popular theories that I think you and I have stamped, yes, we buy into this, is that when Lilith was pregnant with Violet, Lilith was in a fight with a Venom of some sort, and either she was pulled from, or she was stabbed with a blade, or somehow drained a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. And so that's why Violet's hair color is this, but silver. So that would be, I could see that being why Violet would be a huge key. Now, if we're getting into technicalities, does that mean that Violet is kind of a Venom? Or does that mean she's just, no, because it would be more like a victim of a Venom, I'll call it.
Well, as we're just talking theories, there's also the theory that Lilith was a Venom too, or that she had turned Venom. I mean, now that she's gone, so, and then that's why Violet is also could be Venom too. So I'm so sorry, I started spiraling.
I love that though. Yes.
You guys might already be aware of this, but sorry if you are. But she just changed her profile picture again.
Let's talk about it.
Wait,
All
is
right.
it's
Again?
chapter 2 or the
Yeah,
chapter
the
22 and then closed it
crossed
out?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know if we can talk about that.
Yes.
The quote with the Book of Brennan and how power can control you, and if you're not careful, it controls you.
One of the things that we're in the camp of is, yes, so in case you missed it, yesterday Rebecca Yarros changed her profile to chapter 3 and then the dragon from the Fourth Wing epigraphs. It was notably not the Iron Flame epigraph dragon. They're two different ones. So everyone on the internet was like, what does that mean? And we started spiraling, obviously, because that's what we do as a fandom. And one of the big theories was that it's going to be a countdown, 3, 2, 1. So today she changed her profile picture again to chapter 22 in, again, Fourth Wing, but she crossed out
the 20 part of it, so it's technically just a chapter 2, which brings us to the question of, well, first of all, why wouldn't she just do a chapter 2 if that's the only line of thinking? So we actually haven't had time yet to go through and look at that chapter 22.
I do have an idea, though. Okay. Because in chapter 22, it is Xaden and Violet's first kiss, if I'm remembering correctly. So
I have it pulled up right here.
Oh, I love it when we have receipts.
Do you just know?
Well, I just have a picture of the title.
The epigraph title?
The epigraph title and the quote,
Which is
from the Book of Brennan.
Do you mind just reading it into the microphone, please?
Yeah. The first rush of power is unmistakable. The first time it forms to you, surrounds you with a seemingly endless supply of energy. You'll be addicted to the high, to the possibilities of all you can do with it, to the control you hold in the palm of your hand. But here's the thing, that power can quickly turn and control you. Page 64, the Book of Brennan.
So, Xaden, Are we thinking Xaden?
Well, and then the other one was describing Sorrengail, if we're going by epigraphs and not what's in the chapters, because I do think that it is, because initially it was like, oh, it could just be the countdown, but with it being very specific with 22, it's like, why wouldn't she just do it too, right?
Yeah.
So that is where it comes in with, there is that emphasis, and that is specifically from Fourth Wing too. It's Fourth Wing Dragon, awesome.
So I'm very much, thank you so much for the receipts. I love that. So I very much believe that maybe next one will be, I don't know if it can be 64 or it's 69. What was it's 66, there we go, the last chapter. But like, I'm guessing that she's giving us hints of like, oh, hey, so Xaden and Sorrengail, we know that there's trouble in paradise, basically. We also know from a recent interview that she did in Australia is that dragons could possibly break the bond with a rider who is not dead. When someone asks, like, hey, can that happen? She goes, that's an interesting thought, isn't it? Which is Rebecca Yarros' way of saying yes. So I hate to say this, I think Sorrengail might break the bond. Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe. Or, well, in order to not be controlled like Bade was.
No.
Because Bade was being controlled by Jack. And
But
remember
Xaden would go that far, would he?
I don't think he would, but she's...
Well, we're both in agreement, yes, he is definitely going to channel from the source again.
We think so, yeah.
We think so. I do also think that he's going to rely on Churum a lot more than he's going to rely on a signet blocking elixir. He's just going to be stoned the entire book, basically. But I do think that when it comes to, well, I mean, like, thinking about his second signet, he held his shit together when it manifested so he wouldn't lose it like Jeremiah did in Fourth Wing. So I'm assuming he's going to rely on that same willpower when it comes to Onyx Storm and not wanting to channel. And then somehow, some way,
I think it would have to be in a really, really big moment. It wouldn't just be willy-nilly.
On a Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't think it's going to be like that. But I do think that with these, like, to your point, to your question, with chapter 3, 22, and then whatever one's going to be tomorrow.
So you know what we got to do after this is we got to look at every single chapter that has a 1 next to it and the epigraphs. We're not doing it right now. We have 27 seconds left. But just follow us on Instagram and we'll talk to you there. Speaking of which, we are out of time, friends.
Thank you so much. Can we take the fastest of seconds and just say thank you so much to LeakyCon, the AV team here. They're amazing. Give it up for them because they're awesome. We love you guys.
For having us. Oh my goodness. And also Hayden, our sanity manager.
Our executive producer.
Talk about sanity manager this weekend. Oh my goodness gracious. And also, if you are new to Fantasy Fangirls, first of all, hi, hello. I hope you had fun. We are available on every podcasting platform. We have covered Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, obviously. A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, and we kick off our coverage of A Court of Wings and Ruin this Monday. Yeah! Also, like I mentioned, we are on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, so please do give us a follow at Fantasy Fangirls Pod.
And last but not least, we have a meet and greet today. We want to meet all of you and hug the stuffing out of you consensually. So please, that is at 3:45 today in room, I believe, check your app, please. That is at 3:45 today, and we can't wait to see you all. Thank you. This is amazing.